Hey everyone, it's Melody with Design by Melody. I am here with the third layout from or using my March Elle Studio kit. I have one more that I had completed after this is done, and then I'll have my kit review video for you. But these are all the cards that I have left, and I've kind of grouped them into sections. So the one on the top left are 4 cards that kind of coordinate, and they have the pinks and the whites and a few of the little green colors in there. And then the 4 on the left or on the right are more teals, grays, and whites. So it's just looking through different photos that I have to scrapbook. And if you are unfamiliar with those envelopes that I just pulled out, then go back in my channel and check out my Catching Up on Project Life video, because I talk about how I print and plan my Project Life pages. That way, whenever I have even just 10 minutes to scrapbook, I can pull out an envelope and work on some photos. So I picked these photos from May of 2014, and they're just some summer kind of beachy photos. We started hanging out at the pool about May of that year, and so I have some photos of Kaylin and I where we're getting ready to go out to the pool. And then I also have some photos of us hanging out at the airport. Now, the airport here in Raleigh has a really nice kind of observation area, and they have a playground right there, so the kids can play on the playground and in the sand and run in the grass while you watch planes. And the picture on the right on the bottom is of Ernest and I. We were laying on a blanket out there while Kaylin was running around in the sand. So, and just the way that the sun was setting, you can kind of see it coming across the grass. It was a really nice picture. So this is how my layout is going to go. I just trimmed up my photos to start with, and then I'm going to start laying out the pictures. Start laying out the cards here. Now I only have 4 3x4 cards left to use with each layout, and then I have there's like 3 additional cards, 2 that are 3x3 and 1 that is 3x4, and I don't exactly know how I'm going to use them, but I'm going to try to incorporate a few of those cards here. Now, because I don't have any 4x6 cards left, I'm going to go ahead and use my standard white 4x6 cards in the top and in the bottom row, and just layer my photos on top of those. I thought I would use this white and blue star because it kind of would balance out the blue from the sky in the other photo on the bottom. But I haven't really thought that idea through yet. Just kind of playing around with that idea. So there are a few things I'm going to do first, and that's where I'm going to sort out the little die cuts and embellishments that are left. I'm looking primarily at the colors. I'm leaving the greens and the purples to go on the other layout with the other cards that I had done, and then I pulled out the teals and the grays, and then there was one little sliver of blue here that was just a little piece of a cutoff of a tag. So I decided to go ahead and just layer that, put that with the star 3x3 card to see if there's any way I could use it. Because these are summer photos and there are no stickers in this kit, I decided to pull out this American Crafts. I think it's Fun in the Sun or #summer or something like that. This sticker book. I thought it would be a really nice compliment, especially if I'm going to use those 3 little tags or labels that are in the pink and red tones. There are a few of those same tones here in this sticker book, so I thought it would be a great addition. The photos seem to be floating a bit to me because there's so much white space. That is my struggle with this one layout. There's a lot of white space because I don't use any 4x6 photos. It's very uncommon for me. I usually use a lot of 4x6 photos, so that was a little bit of a different thing for me. And I really like the way that the end turned out. It just took me a minute to get to that point. As you can see, I went ahead and decided to just use that blue 3x3 card to kind of mat my photo here of Ernest laying on the picnic blanket in the sun. And I used a bit of gray washi tape at the bottom of this card to ground all the embellishments. I also used a journaling label from that sticker book, and then I'm pulling out my sequins and I tried my enamel dots, but they weren't quite the right color, so I decided to go with sequins instead. I'm just going through my different collections here. Now, I really like storing my sequins in these pill containers. It's really nice and easy. I have 2 of them, and I have one for enamel dots, and then like my homemade enamel dots, and then I have one for sequins, and I just store them right in there, and it's perfect. It stays right on the corner of my desk, and I always have it right there to use. I wanted to add a label to this journaling, so like a title to this journaling, but I wasn't exactly sure what I wanted to do. And I keep my alphas in a basket. Well, I store them in a basket, but I keep my basket right on the floor right beside my scrap desk, so it's easy to access. Now there's a place on my shelf for it, but it's just easy if it's right there at my feet. I can pick it up and put it right on my scrap desk and just use it immediately. I have started not including alphas in my stash kits, and just because I have so many and I have so many half-used packages, anytime I found that when I was doing my stash kits, I was including like 7 or 8 different alphas, and really just because they're not a full set, so I would need a bunch of different options to be able to make a complete title, especially if I'm doing 10 or so layouts. So instead of including them in my kits, I just decided to keep the box or the basket right there beside me, so it was easy to access, and I am finding that I'm using my alphas a lot more. So I'm just going to put a title here that says Fun in the Sun, because you can see the sun setting, and then that little aqua tag that's right there beside the photo says this right here or this right now, something like that. You'll be able to see it in the still shots at the end. And also, just in case you're new to my channel, I do a blog post for each of my process videos that I do. I don't do a blog post for my haul videos, but I do it for just about every other video that I create. So if you ever want to see anything a little bit closer up or have more detail about something, please go check out my blog. It's just I'll have all the links below, but it's a WordPress blog, and I pretty much update it. The blog post goes live exactly the same time that the video goes live. I am having a bit of a difficult time with YouTube. It's been very difficult to upload videos here recently, so I just haven't been as consistent in uploading, but I am still creating, so I have a ton of videos ready for you guys. I just haven't been able to upload them because YouTube is being extremely finicky at the moment. But it'll sort itself out. I'm not concerned about that. So in the meantime, I'll just continue to create, and then I'll upload as often as YouTube will let me. Pulling in a few different aquas from this same sticker sheet. There are some reds in here as well, or that pinkish, it's like a pinkish red. It's not a true red, and it's not a true pink, so we're going to call it pinkish red. And then I'm just layering a few little tabs and things on this card. I wasn't really sure what I wanted to do, but that journaling also applied to that side, which is why I included that arrow, that direction. But the arrow looked like it was just floating, so I ground it to the side a bit with the silver, just a real thin strip of silver washi tape. This kit has been very nice to work with. I really love Elle Studio products, and it's been really nice to kind of have a nice different array of embellishment options in her kits, because it's not just one theme or one collection. You actually have a really nice different collection of items to use, which was something I noticed right away when I opened her kit. I noticed that you had Easter themed things. You also had St. Patrick's Day themed things, but you also had a lot of other variety as well. And it wasn't overbearingly themed. There were just 1 or 2 cards for Easter and St. Patrick's Day, because those are the things that happened in March this year. But it wasn't overly themey. And that's really nice for people who don't do themed scrapbook pages. Sometimes I do, sometimes I don't. It just depends on if we do anything for those holidays. I really liked this little snow cone picture. The pool that we went to, we actually don't go to that pool anymore, but that pool that we went to was at the YMCA, and they always had this snow cone truck that was kind of off to the side, so we would typically get snow cones when we were out there. And so I just took a picture of ours. Kaylin always got like green or blue or, some funny color like that. And mine is always the snow cream. So I'm just going to use these little tiny type strips. If you are unfamiliar with these, I do a whole video about how I use them. And I just made a ton of them, and I keep them in my stash, and I use them for little alphas, little tile alphas. And so I'm just cutting off the letters that I need here. These are paper tray ink alphas. It's an alpha stamp, and then there's a die that goes with it to be able to make them into these little into these little tiles. And I just use my tweezers to get the backing off, and I just stick them right on it. And since they're not a perfect cut, it depends on how I trim them off the little strip as to whether they're a perfect cut or not. And because they're not a perfect cut, I kind of stagger them up and down a bit just so it looks kind of messy on purpose. And so the card says, did someone say ... And then this photo fits perfectly right under that. I just mounted it on some vellum, and then I'm putting snow cones with a question mark at the end here. I find it interesting. Watching my videos, I use a lot of almost used up alpha stickers, and I mentioned that before, but I don't throw stuff away, like, at all. And you'll actually see in my kit review video, I show you what's left in my kit because I already filmed it, so I can tell you about that. I show what's left in the kit, and then I go to put it in my stash, and I end up going back and cutting out the limited edition label that is on the Elle Studio packaging because I can't even throw that away. And then I kept the packaging to be able to use it for just the scrap white cardstock. Not that I don't have a billion pieces of white cardstock already, but what's the point of throwing one away when you could use it? I just don't throw much away in my scrap room unless it's packaging, and I even use packaging as much as I can until it's so bent up and dirty that it's not possible to use it anymore. I am definitely a not hoarder, but we're going to call recycler of products. I don't let things go to waste. The only time I throw it away is if it doesn't work anymore or something like that. Just layering a few little things on the corner of this card. I go back and forth in my project life with using large photos that may fill up a whole pocket and smaller printed photos. I like the look of both. So I just, switch it up sometimes. And I decided to use the asterisks from that sticker sheet just to kind of tie in some of that red in that row as well. So I'm down to the top 2 4x6 cards. And at this, I just don't know what to do because there is a lot of white space. So it's somewhat daunting to me, I think, when I started. But hey, I'm up for a challenge. I have no problem with that. I'm just layering a few back or a few pieces of paper to map my photos. I have this kind of grayish scripty paper that I used on the photo on the right, which is also the same one I used on the photo on the bottom, and then I'm using my vellum on this other photo. I like that it doesn't introduce a new color. It just adds a little bit of a matte. And then I'm also using the same washi tape up here at the top, which I used at the bottom on the bottom right, so it'll offset that up to the top. I have a few more die cuts from the kit that I'm going to include here to go ahead and use them up, and they also coordinate with the same colors. This was a nice way to kind of keep the same colors throughout the layout. And I also used that little tiny sliver of blue that I had as a offcut. I use it down up here at the top just to pull a bit of that blue up to the top. I thought about using these sunglasses because it really fit. He's wearing his goggles and I'm wearing my sunglasses and we're making funny faces. But I don't like the way that it looks. It just looks kind of, I don't know, out of place. Even though it would work, it looks out of place to me. So I pulled out a few stickers that were in the sticker book that I could use, and I'm also going to layer a bit of vellum up here at the top, just to have something to ground that camera sticker. I didn't know how to ground it other than putting washi, so I decided to put a little bit of vellum, and you cannot see it at all in the video, but you can see it in person, so it has the desired effect. Now, I don't know if you noticed, but these little labels that are kind of they're not hexagon. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 3, 6. Oh, I guess they are hexagon. Is that right? They're like an oblong hexagon. Is that right? I don't know if that's right. But anyways, They come in a square, and I just trim off the edges and the corners to make it the same shape as the actual label. I kind of like the way that that looks. It just adds a little bit more to the label instead of just being a regular old square. And then I've been adding my journaling. I don't do that with the entire kit, but on this layout I decided to do that. I just like the way that it looked. And since I do have so much white space, it's nice to kind of have something that's a little bit more interesting looking on the layout. I really like this sticker book. I like being able to use, one consistent product throughout a whole page or a whole spread. It kind of keeps it all consistent, but it also helps you pull the same colors throughout the layout. And then I like the journaling spots that were also in this book. It gave me a few journaling spots, but they're all still that true white background, which is nice to have since I'm using so much white cardstock on this layout. And since these are slick surfaces, I went ahead and used my Sharpie fine point pen to be able to journal. And I just have a few things to finish up here, but I will include some still shots at the very end. And then I'll also don't forget to go check out my blog, because I will have these same still shots on there as well, so you can look at them a little bit more detail. And then I also will be posting the next layout here shortly, and we'll do my kit review video in just a few days. So thank you so much for joining me today, guys. I hope you had fun and have a great afternoon. Bye.